Be over here. Don't matter.
Well, Molly Magee, thank you for coming on the podcast. How's it going?
Having me. It's going good.
Yeah, and there's no negative space. Looks great. Uh, Wanted to talk with you. I've been really following your work for some time. I first became aware of you in 2022. Um, I think it was through. Do you remember Gag on This, that podcast?
I don't know.
Yeah, they had you on there or featuring your work, and I was like, she's actually really funny. So
Thank you.
yeah,
It's
and
no
you've got
reflection on them if I don't remember. I actually have an amnesia disorder, so I'll probably remember like 20 minutes from now or never again. So just never know.
no, you're fine. And you've been on some other ones too. You were on Kill Tony, did a really good set on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you've got a new podcast slash YouTube channel called Moll's Deep, which is a pretty funny name. How's that been going? How are you feeling about it?
No, I mean, I don't want to say it's not going great, but it's like I'm getting like maybe 75 views or like, and it's like, but everybody I know who has a podcast is like, just, you're going to get nothing for like a long time. And then once in a while, it'll, something will happen.
Well, it's brand new still, right? Like
Oh yeah,
you know,
it was like this, like within the last month or so. I mean, I don't know, maybe a little longer, maybe a couple months. Because I have like 9 episodes.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's good. I mean, it's just it'll be better when I have like a setup, when I know what I'm doing, like I have a background or whatever. So actually, a photographer is going to help me. I'm in the process of moving, but when I get there, uh, I don't know if I should say who it is, but it's a photographer that works with like big comics and stuff. So I'm excited. He's going to help me.
That's really exciting. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm hoping that works.
have a nice like solid kind of setup.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, where I just like sit down, everything's where it's supposed to be, and I just hit a button. Like I gotta stop using my phone and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. It's just it is tougher than it seems. And then, like you said, it's just kind of like it's nice to have that kind of like stable
Yeah,
setup. You go in, you get into your groove.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like everything like is where it's supposed to be. I want to get like a cool looking background, some lighting.
Even still, I mean, the episodes I've seen are really, polished. They're really the segments are really. It's not too long, and that there's funny stuff going on. So I've really I think it's good, and I think it's only going to get better.
Oh, thank you so much. I like your
Yeah.
podcast too. I
Thank
I
you.
I was there was I know what you mean by too long because like I did this like episode. I should have called it like a special Halloween episode and did it next month, but I didn't think of that. But I did this episode because I break it down like you said into segments where I have like Moll's Deep Politics, Moll's Deep. That's why a Moll's Deep podcast ended up working out good because I could use it for like Moll's Deep Romance, Moll's Deep Politics, Moll's Deep movie review, Moll's Deep Fake Quotes. Like I have like all these different things, whatever. So I did like a Moll's Deep movie review. But what it really is like it's a whole thing on how like Goonies is like how Monster Squad is like the punk rock, like more punk rock version of Goonies,
Yeah, totally,
and how like Monster Squad's super underrated, and like
definitely.
I compare the whole thing. Like I love Goonies, but like, bruh,
I've seen Monster Squad. I think all the way through maybe one time on TV. It's one of those like I've always wanted to go and get it. But Goonies, like I've seen too much. You know,
yeah,
it was
I bought
always
it on
on for.
Amazon Prime. Like I just bought it, so it's like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But anyway, that turned out to be 30 minutes of me ranting about how Monster Squad's more punk rock than Goonies for like 30 minutes. I was like, dude, I gotta do this in part one and part two.
Yeah, that's I mean, that's important. People need to know that.
Yeah, I refuse to scrap it. I'm like, dude, this needs to be said. Nobody's been advocating for Monster Squad.
Yeah, in quite some time, and thankfully that's one of those you don't see like them talking about remaking it or something like that. I think they are remaking Goonies, like
I think Monster Squad was actually a remake of like an old
an older one.
version. Yeah, but they nailed it. It's amazing.
Don't mess with our version. Okay,
Yeah,
they've
yeah,
gone back
yeah.
enough.
This is the best one.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing comedy? How did you first kind of get into doing that?
So I always wanted to be a comedian since I was like 6 years old. And my parents didn't really censor what I watched. I was watching like, and I'm gonna date myself here, but I was actually watching like George Carlin and Eddie Murphy and Roseanne and like I was like watching like back in the day like comedians, and I was so little. I was like I was between 6 and 8, like kind of in that range. And I was like really, I was little where like you still believe in Santa Claus,
Yeah,
kind of like you're still in that, like you're kind of on board with that.
yeah,
And so you believe in like magic and things like that. And so it's like I really thought that they had like super mind control powers because I was so little. Like,
right.
I really like I would see them like Richard Pryor or something doing something, and it's like I remember the first time actually kind of quantifying it in my head was like I think it was Eddie Murphy, and I thought like that's just a person that's standing there with a microphone, and they're getting the whole crowd to do whatever they want them to do.
Yeah,
Like they're getting like they're able to like laugh when they want to laugh, or they go or like or whatever noise they want, like an orchestrator, like whatever sound he wants them to make, they make it. So I, in my little kid brain, thought, oh, that's like Professor X. Like that's like, like
right,
that's like mind control.
right.
And so then, and it's weird how like things stick with you even though you don't consciously realize it. So like as I got older, even though obviously I knew like they're not like superpowers, in my head, subconsciously, something stuck with me where it's like, oh, well, you're either a comedian or you're not. Like, you either have that mutant power or you don't. Like, in my head, like, that was what it was or whatever. But I was like, always wished I had that superpower.
Yeah,
And even when I was a musician, I was like, man, I would give up music in a second to be a comedian. Like, in my head, that was what it was. And so then I ended up meeting a comedian on like a dating app or whatever. I was like, first of all, you're too young for me. But I was like, I think it's so cool you're a comedian. So we became friends, and I'd like hang out with him, and I just had him rolling. Like I would just say stuff, and he would laugh so hard. He's like, why aren't you a comedian? I said, well, because I'm not a comedian. Like that was my logic. Was like, like I'm not a comedian because I'm not a comedian was my logic. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I explained, like, no, there's superpowers in this, like not literally, but whatever. Like he goes, I said I couldn't do what like Louis C.K. could do or what, and he goes, you're comparing yourself to professional circuit comedians who've been doing this
right.
20, 30, 40 years. Like he goes,
Yeah,
you literally, he goes, you need to go to an open mic and compare yourself to one of them and see if you can do that because that's where they all started. And
yeah,
I was like, okay, well, I didn't think of that. Go to an open mic. And I watch them and I'm like, I can do at least, I can do at least as good as the worst one on stage tonight. It's like, I
yeah.
can do, whatever. But I was so terrified. I just couldn't. And so then, like, he forced me, like, my settings. Sorry, 1 second.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, so he kind of pressured me into it. And there's a whole, I don't want to talk your ear off, but there's more.
No, that
Like,
yeah, please do. Hey, was it so? Was it a different like you had been a musician first, and kind of I guess been on stage and things like that, but it was more nerve wracking going up there like just Mike.
yeah, I mean, because with music, it's like whatever. Like if you miss a note, or you could just sort of laugh it off, or it's like if people aren't really all that into what you're doing, they might talk over it or they might ignore you or something. But at the end, they're probably going to clap, and it's like not that, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Especially when I was in bands. Like if I'm in a punk band, don't it's like if we have a bad set, that's everybody's fault. We're all in this together,
Yeah.
sink or swim.
Yeah.
But when you're a comedian, it's just you.
Yeah.
And especially when I'm not doing, I do a couple comedy songs just because I have it in my back pocket to do, but I really love just doing regular stand up. And so it's like when it's just you and a microphone, it's like, and it's not the same as music. You
Yeah.
have instant feedback.
And the sense of time, I'm sure. I mean, probably 5 minutes solo stand up feels like 10 or 15
Oh,
minutes.
yes.
Like,
At
I don't know
first,
how people talk like that for an hour straight,
yeah.
how much practice that
You just
takes.
gotta build your time, build your time, build your time. But then once you build your time, you get to a point where you're like, oh, well, like if they say, oh, you got 7 minutes, like what am I gonna do with 7 minutes? You know,
Right.
like you
Yeah.
start going up there like, oh God, they give me 5 minutes. How am I gonna even work out this new bit I just wrote? Like, because you're just like, that's what I read into the other day. I was like, man, they said 4 to 5 minutes. That light came on. I was like, you
Yeah.
know, but at first, when you're bombing, oh man.
What's been like the worst bombing experience? Like what's been
Well, I had an amnesia episode on stage, which was pretty upsetting because,
sure. Yeah.
like I had already that's why like I first come out or whatever. Like I usually will start with I'll start by talking about my head injury and make a couple of jokes about it. Then that way, if it happens, it's a little like they understand what's going on, and I can
Yeah.
reference it again, and and make a joke about it or whatever. Like I have a backup joke for when I come back into it. But
Yeah.
that time I don't think at that point I had that joke yet in my. So it's like when it
So it just
happened,
yeah.
people thought I was choking.
Oh wow.
They're like, people just choke and they forget. And it's like, no, it was actually like, how I know the difference between choking? When you choke, you might forget your jokes.
Right.
When you're having an amnesia episode, you don't know why you're there.
Yeah.
Like, I was literally standing like, in that moment, I didn't know if I was there to speak. I didn't know if I was there to sing. I didn't know if I was there to do comedy. Like,
Oh wow.
I, I couldn't think of a single joke I'd ever written or heard. Like, in that moment, like, I just, and somebody else, you suck.
Ooh.
I was like, okay. And it was at a comedy club. So whatever. But it was, I don't know if I would call that bombing. And I came back into it and I finished okay. And then I brought it back.
Yeah.
Like hosting or, I came back into it. Uh, but it's sort of, it was just very upsetting. But I don't know if I consider that a bomb. I know in the very beginning, I bombed so bad. Like, it's called the Brainwash. I don't think it's still there anymore in San Francisco. And I bombed so bad. This lady was like, I was like, in comics, a joke will bomb. They'll go, really, nothing, so like that. I said, really, nothing. This lady goes, I'm just trying to help you. I'm like, what? Help me kill myself when I get home?
Yes.
Like, what are you like? What
Yeah.
are we talking about right now? And then they
Thank
laughed.
you.
Yeah, then they laughed at that.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably the worst.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I don't think most people understand. Like, I mean, that's how this stuff develops. Like, comics need to be able to go up there and fail
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's trial and error, and
yeah.
like you have to test stuff out. If it doesn't work, then that joke doesn't work, or polish it, or
Do you
Sometimes I
know?
write a joke so stupid that when it works, I'm almost mad that it worked. I'm like, dude, why are you guys laughing at that? Like, that's the worst joke in the world.
Which, like, what would be an example of one you were just like, why was that the hit?
God, recently, I wrote all these jokes. I was like, oh, it's going to be so good. And then I had this other one, whatever. Like, I had told a friend, and they were like, dude, try that one. I'm going to try that. That's stupid. They're like, try that one. I was like, this other stuff's really good. I go up there. The other stuff didn't hit like I was hoping. And then whatever, I'll do this stupid one or whatever. And well, I used to think Buddhism is super gay. And they already laughed at that. I used to think Buddhism is super gay because they say like Nam Yoho Rengekyo, Nam Yoho Rengekyo, and I was like, I don't know who Rengekyo is, but apparently he needs to numb his hole. It's so dumb. It's
Yeah.
literally the stupidest, and they laughed so loud.
People love absurdity though. That's great.
I was like, you
Yeah.
guys are the stupidest joke I ever wrote. Shame on all of you. So,
That's good.
yeah, that was very surprising and upsetting because I think it would have been better. It was like, I think what it was. It's like if the other stuff hit really good and then that one, it'd be different. But I was like really disappointed in how the other ones went.
How do
You
you
have no class, you have no taste.
how do you like get started on stage? Do you just launch into it, or you kind of do you need a breath? I know most comics are just like, no, you just need to just start rolling.
Sometimes I say hi.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, I just go hi, which is like, it's funny. Like they usually laugh because like I'll get them all pumped up, like the music's going. I'm like, yeah, and I get them, whatever. Like they get all, and then it's like all this jazz, and then I just go hi.
Right.
They laugh, whatever. Like it's like at first I didn't know why they were laughing because I just genuinely was just saying hi.
Right.
But then my friends are like, that's hilarious. Because it's
What?
not expected, I guess, because it's so underplayed for like if you're standing in front of 100 people and you just say hi. It's a
Yeah.
little like less
Well,
informal.
it's like was it Bo Burnham would go up there at this huge crazy light show, and just come out there and start playing piano or something.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not expected. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit like it's an underdressed version of a word. Like,
Right. So I wanted to ask too, like, where is comedy right now? I feel like for some time comedy was kind of under attack a little bit. I mean, do you feel like it's kind of resurging, or is it still kind of just depends on where you are?
it's definitely making a comeback as far as not being canceled.
Yeah.
But it's hard to say because so I am from California, but I live in Texas. I escaped California, and
Right. Good
like
for
a
you.
lot of like yeah, like but I was always from California, so a lot of the people on my Facebook that I know in real life that I've worked with are from California, and a lot of them are very still in that mindset.
Right.
So it's like I can see on both ends, like where it's like in Texas, I don't know what it was like before, but you could definitely get away with saying more stuff. Whereas in California, it's like still very
Okay.
they
Yeah.
mark you down. Yeah, so it's like hard to say because I'm kind of like a leg in both camps, and but like there's places in California I'm banned from that I can't do
Really?
either officially or unofficially.
Wow.
Well, it's certain promoters. I remember the first time it happened was like, well, this is when I was literally a registered Democrat. I was still pretty much liberal. It's kind of like right at the beginning where it started like going off the hinges.
Yeah.
And it was during the BLM thing, and I basically was just, I was like asking questions. I was like, well, if it's COVID, and we all have to stay in our house and wear masks, why are they gathering like
Yeah.
thousands of people?
Look, this is more important than.
And they were
It's
just
like,
like, oh, it's different.
ow.
Viruses don't know anything about politics or
Yeah.
police brutality. And so then they're like, you're really showing your whiteness. So what, I was like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And then I was like, I started like watching like, I started listening to like black conservatives. They would talk about black voices and you have to listen to black. And I'm just like, well, they're black too. What do they have to say about it? And then they give me all this data and I'm like cross-referencing it. And I'm like, you know what? It's not what they're saying. It is with I mean, like, I don't approve of any police brutality or whatever, but I was like, statistically, it's not supporting this claim of, what you guys are saying it is. And
Yeah.
so I started asking questions. And then, like, I remember the first time it happened, like a promoter. And they used me all the time. They put me on shows. They put me in comedy clubs. They were like the first time I ever closed at a comedy club. Like,
Wow.
30 minute set, closed. It was like a showcase. It wasn't like for through the club, but it was a showcase. And it's like, so I was like, had my name on the door of the green room, it's like because of this promoter. And she messaged me. She's like, I'm very disappointed in you. And I can't have you working for me anymore. And I'm like, dude,
Come
I was
on.
a Democrat. Like, I was
Right.
like, still on your side. I'm just asking questions. Like,
Yeah.
why is this the case? And so that was my first wake up call was like, okay, like, but now it's, like in, out here, depending on the room you're in, if you go into a room and there's like non-binary flags and all kind of shit on
Right.
the walls, you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I know which jokes I can't do in here,
Yeah.
like it's whatever, but yeah. So I have like my different sets, and it's not that I'm like censoring myself. It's just a matter of like, I want people to have a good time.
Totally.
It's like if I have jokes about me being bisexual, me having lesbian parents, blah blah blah, that are good jokes. I'll do them in those rooms because they find it relatable, whatever, But it's like if I'm in a different room, I'm gonna joke about escaping California. I'm gonna joke about a
Right.
date, So it's just it's not like it's not. I don't do it in a way where, at least I don't think I do it in a way where it's like pandering or anything like that because
Yeah.
all of it's true.
Right.
It's all authentic to me. So I live in that world where I have a redneck dad and a lesbian mom.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
my lesbian moms are more conservative than my redneck dad. So it's
Right.
like that's where I'm from.
Yeah. Yeah. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you really want to know.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, just well, my mom, she was still in the closet. She got married. She thought she wanted to try to have like a normal life and have kids, and ended up realizing that that wasn't going to keep going for her. She had my brother, and then she had me when I was about 6 years old. Stepped out on my found a woman she fell in love with, and then left my dad for a woman, and that's what it was. And then so they stayed together. My mom passed away a few years ago, but they were together for like 36 years or 34
Wow.
years, or I didn't do the math, but I don't know. I'd have to do the math because it depends on how old I am. But
Wow. Well, that's yeah, sorry to hear about your loss about that. I mean, I know it happened some time
don't
ago.
get me started on the COVID vaccine. But my
Right.
my
Yeah.
dad is. He looks like you ever seen Duck Dynasty?
Yes. Yeah.
He looks
Huge
exactly like
beard.
Guy Robertson on Duck Dynasty.
Nice.
Like people really think it's him. They lose their shit.
Right. That's cool.
That's what it looks like. Like say he's the kind of redneck who wear all camouflage, but somehow his outfit still doesn't quite match.
Right.
That's my dad. That's what he looks like.
That's fun. Um, so, I mean, when did you just finally decide, like, hey, I need to go? Was that like,
It was a combination of things. I was, like I was already kind of like thinking about it when, just first of all, when things just start getting so outrageously woke, where it's like you can't ask any questions, you can't like you're instantly they'll say you're racist, and then it's like, dude. And there was already that or whatever, but then I started paying more attention to like the laws that were being passed.
right?
And my son has autism. Well, first, because my son has autism, and there was a lot of talk about like people who are like trans, a lot of them are autistic. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, my son's still young, but maybe I should know more about this. So I was looking into it, and I was started like going down that rabbit hole of like transition, like what has happens with the whole process. And I learned stuff about the way that children are being medicalized in transition that would make any normal person's blood run cold. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just stuff that was like horrifying. Like in my opinion, this is the biggest medical atrocity since the law.
Yeah.
The things they are doing to these kids are and it's all starting to come out. They're starting to sue these doctors, and it's going to come out even more. We're going to learn more about it as they get older and realize that they were victimized, because they're still in that mindset of, like they're not going to realize when they get older, where it's like with any other victimization. There's kids that are molested that they aren't able to talk about it till they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
So it's like we're going to see more of it come out. But it was making my blood run cold. And I was seeing this stuff on National Institutes of Health, WPATH. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like I'm not just looking at conservative things. I'm looking.
No, this is like mainstream. Yeah,
Yes,
the American Medical Association, things like that. Yeah.
but
Crazy.
but what's crazy is like if you ask the people who are in support of this, most liberals don't believe it's happening.
Yeah, they don't think it's a big issue. They're like, oh, well, there's other.
No, they don't believe that they're
Like,
giving double mastectomies to girls as young as 13.
yeah,
They think that's a right-wing conspiracy.
it's not.
Yeah, absolutely not. I even had like one lady, a group of ladies online on Facebook, say to me, "Oh, they were laughing and scoffing, and oh, that's a right-wing conspiracy. They're not doing that to kids. They're not doing. You have to be 18, all stuff." And I'm like, no. And I said, no, they're doing, and they're like, oh, you're just, this is right wing conspiracy. I said, and one of them said to me, this is the moment where, like, do you know the moment where you're like, all right, this is a cult. This is
Right.
not okay.
Yeah.
This was that moment for me because she said, if that were really happening, I'd be just as mad as you. Thank God. I thank God. I was like, right. I go, right. Well, then this is literally we are not. This is not a problem. We are not even having a confrontation here.
Yeah.
I showed her everything. I said, boom, boom, boom. I listed all these things, and then she said, and then she goes, well, but it's really rare. And I said, actually, it's happened to hundreds of, like it's literally in the study, 300.
Yeah.
And she goes, well, compared to that, I said, no, 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 no. How many children is too many?
Yeah.
Give a double mastectomy to a gender confused 13-year-old.
Yeah.
I said, how many is too many? Well, that's between them and their doctor. Why do you care? I was like, bro, what did you? So that was my moment where it was like literally like I was just, this is a Twilight Zone. I was like, dude, y'all just said you would be as mad as me. So
Right.
how do you go from it's such a crazy concept, it's so insane
Yeah.
that it must be a conspiracy and we're going to laugh in your face and we're going to say we'd be just as mad, but it's not real, to instantly defending it.
Yeah.
Instantly, like just like that. So anyway, and then I start like they were passing these laws, and one of the laws they were passing, which is another thing they don't believe, is that they now if your child was, I think it was like 12 or older, 13 or older, says that they're trans, and you don't take them directly to a gender affirming care clinic for treatment, they consider it abuse.
Wow.
So the way that that plays out is if, let's say, you're going through a divorce and one parent wants to take their kid to the gender affirming care clinic, the other one's like, no, absolutely, like, no, we're not transitioning our kid. They're just a kid. They give custody to the parent that will take the kid to the gender affirming care clinic. And if your child at school goes to a mandated reporter, teacher, principal, and says, I'm trans, but my mom or dad won't take me to a gender affirming care clinic, they treat it like abuse.
Wow.
So they will keep the child until further investigation. So you'll go to that school to show up to pick up your kid, and they will not let you take your kid. CPS will do an investigation. That's not to say they're going to take your custody away, but they will hold on to the kid until they figure out what are we going to do about this. That terrified me.
Yeah.
That terrified me. I'm like, wow, like that, and so that was kind of like my last straw as far as, okay, this place is run by lizard demons. Like, this is not normal.
Yeah.
And and then right around that time, like it was literally like within whatever, it was within like a month or two. It was like I ran into some financial stuff. I was renting a room to somebody who like totally just ditched out. And then, and it's like I got my home loan because I was like, well, I'm done with renting. I'm just going to buy a house, so I got my VA home loan. And he's like, yeah, good news is, he goes, you qualify, you got your approval, you qualify for a $260,000 home. I said, great. He goes, the bad news is you're not going to find anything in the entire state of California that's going to be enough for you and your child to buy something. And I remember like feeling like, you know what? Like, so what you're saying is I'm 100% service connected disabled veteran and my money's no good here. You're telling me I cannot afford to support one adult and one child in the entire state of California with my disability income.
That's
And
crazy.
they were just like, yeah. I said, all right, well, that's it. I'm done. That to me, that was like nail in the coffin. It was like, okay, you don't want disabled veterans here. You want to take these children and mutilate them. It's just, not to be like, I don't want to like, I know we're supposed to tone down the rhetoric, whatever, but I was like, bro, like, this is demonic.
Yeah.
Like, there's a point where I'm like, I'm going back to church. Like, this is
Yeah.
wild. This is what's going on. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so that was sort of my, I don't know if it was a red pill moment or whatever, but I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, that's like the red pill moment. I would have been like, yeah, this is Looney Tunes, and I'm in Virginia here. We've had I don't know if you're familiar with like the Loudoun County stuff that happened.
Loud County? Mm-mm.
Yeah, that was at a school, and a uh, non-binary student, male, um, sexually assaulted another student, and essentially the faculty covered it up. They
Of course they did.
tried to keep that out of the release until they finally had to admit what happened. But they jailed the father. The father obviously was upset. When it was back when all of these school board meetings were going on, and every other clip you would see somebody being dragged out. He was one of those dads, and that for me was just kind of like a holy shit, like this is crazy.
Well, and
What
that's
do
the
y'all?
thing. If you have good ideas, you should not have any reason to hide them. You
Right,
should be able to stand on those ideas. Where
absolutely.
it's like, like the fact that, like, how they were trying to like downplay it when we were talking about like putting trans women in women's prisons
Right.
that have like violent, like,
Yeah.
like kidnapping or whatever, like rape, or, and they're literally putting these men in women's prisons, and they try to like downplay it and like, oh yeah, and then it becomes, oh, that's rare, or that becomes, oh well, that was already in the books, or it becomes, and it's like,
Well, that's what happens at the Olympics. you know, like, what do you mean?
it's
I mean, that's
literally
sports, but
the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
right,
And I feel like the greatest trick the DNC ever pulled was convincing the world that their own policies don't exist.
right.
And it's like I'm surrounded by all these liberals that are just like, that's not really happening. And then I show them there's actually a case recently in California. They had a biological male, trans woman, doesn't even try to look like a woman at all, fully self ID, uh, who is in prison for kidnapping a woman.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and like, and the implication in there, if you read the, whatever, was like kidnapping for either ransom or to commit other crimes, is what it says. Other crimes. So yeah, so he kidnaps a woman, obviously for obvious reasons. They put him in a women's prison, and guess what he does? He rapes somebody, multiple somebodies, but only one came forward. And so she's in court, and then they force her to use his preferred pronouns in court. The victim of rape is asking to call her rapist she, her. And it's like people are still telling me, oh, that doesn't happen. It's right here. I'll show it to you. It literally is happening. It happened. Like,
And to your point, like, I mean, how many examples do you need? Like, it just shouldn't be a thing.
care if trans women are in women's sports. There's so few of them. What people don't get, and this is what I don't understand, where, like I like I guess you could say, like, I'm not a consequentialist, I'm a deontologist. So I don't see it as the outcome is whether it's good or bad. It's the intent, it's the actual action, the intent behind the action. And my value system isn't based on the outcome. It's based on what are you trying to do? What's your goal here? What are you doing, actually doing? And in my opinion, if like what you're doing is we're going to put men and women's sports, and well, then that's not fair, period. It has no, even if it happened to nobody, the fact that you're trying to do it is wrong in and of itself. So it's like the fact that it has affected people, people like literally, there's a website you can go to where they keep track. Like there's actually a tracker of how many women have lost titles and awards and the scholarship. That's another thing. I'm like, so y'all want to make it sound like, oh, they didn't get to win the softball tournament. Like, no, we're talking about someone didn't get a 4-year university scholarship
Yeah.
because of this.
Oh,
And I'm like, that shouldn't happen to one person.
yeah.
Not one. That shouldn't happen to one person. It's either right or wrong. If it's wrong for one, it's wrong for hundreds, vice versa. And so that always bothered me, is like this idea that it has to be so many kids mutilated for it to matter. It has to be so many women who are screwed over in sports. It has to be so many women who are raped in prison. And they'd say stuff like, well, prison guards rape women all the time, so let's add to it.
Yeah, those are both bad.
And they're both
Horrible.
bad things. Like they'll just cancel each other out. That's not how it works. Or they'll say like, well, yeah, but how come you care about one thing and not the other? I care about both, but one of those things is a lot easier to avoid.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
one of those things is like, well, he already has a felony for kidnapping a woman. Can we just rule him out for a second? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, like we're
Yeah.
talking, compare that to a prison guard with no criminal history or no history of mental illness. Who's easier to weed out? Like,
Exactly. Yeah,
so,
and that was kind of my I guess my if you want to call it red pill type thing. Like I started hearing a lot of these kind of feminists that were speaking out against this stuff. I mean, you got people like Megan Murphy. We've had Pamela Garfield Yeager on the show, truthful
that was
therapist.
one of the shows I watched of yours. You had
Like,
somebody on here about trans women moments sports. Yeah.
she's been huge on that, and kind of only doing more and more. I think she is a part of or doing things with Turning Point and things like that now too. So
Good.
good for her and doing that. But
Don't get me started on the Charlie Kirk situation.
yeah, I mean
I
that
will lose it. I will crash out.
I was, in my head, I was like, okay, maybe I'm starting to feel like the tide is turning a little bit. Like I'm starting to feel like,
A
okay.
lot.
And then that happened, and I don't know. I was at work when my friend texted me. I mean, I hadn't checked the news at all, and he's just like, "Hey, did you see this?" And I was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And seeing, I don't know, that blew my mind already. But then seeing the reaction from people I know, basically just dancing on the guy's grave. I mean, not even 10 minutes later.
Oh no, yeah,
Yeah,
as soon as
I
it
mean,
happened, they were literally celebrating it. And
yeah,
so when they're saying like, when Jimmy Kimmel was like, "Oh, they're trying to make it so it's not one of them," it's like what I actually love. Like I always love Bill Maher, or whatever. Like so,
yeah,
Bill Maher was like, he goes, I forget how he worded it, but it was basically like, stop saying it wasn't us. If it wasn't us, our problem, we adopted it.
yeah,
It's now us because everybody celebrated it.
yeah,
Like you're literally like the entire. You can say what you want about how certain politicians are behaving, but don't tell me it's not a liberal problem when y'all are celebrating it and asking for more. Does it matter who pulled the trigger at that point? You just adopted it. That was your little pet project. Like, and they're calling him all these things. They're calling him racist. They're calling him this, calling him that. And I'm like, and I'll sit there and I'm like, okay, don't just look at the clip. Look at the whole thing. This is how he feels about this and that. It's like for every one clip, there's not only a clip that it kind of puts it in context, but there's 100 other clips where he's just like, no, you're not, I'm not any better than anybody else because of my race. No, I don't even, it's like, I'm really like, and it's like, I go, dude, they host the biggest black leadership conference every year, and they're like, oh, that's just so that they could have pictures with black people. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, every year since 2010, just in case this happens right now.
yeah. So you actually don't want things to get better. You're mad that you're not the person trying to make them better at least.
Right, well, they
Okay.
don't want it better. They want us fighting with each other. That's the worst thing that could happen in the DNC. And I'm just like, dude, like, I explained to somebody, and I said, look, right. I was like, right, let's follow his logic. I took somebody, I minored in philosophy. And so I learned a little bit about argumentation and how to break down an argument. And I was like, look, let's follow. I'm not even saying I agree or disagree. Let's follow his logic. These are his premises. This is what he's saying. And then he goes, yeah, well, and he like all but he pretty much admitted it wasn't their race, it was the structure of the program that made it to where this doesn't yield the best results and da da da. And I said, so his conclusion isn't that black pilots are automatically crappy because they're DI, or even that a DI hire is crappy.
Yep.
It might be the most best person for the job. He's literally said that. But I said, he's saying, I hope that person's qualified because now I have that question in my mind. And I shouldn't have that question in my mind because that's not who I am. That's not who, whatever. Like, that's not how I believe. But it shouldn't be a question. And so I'm like, look, this is his logic. This is where he got to this. And he goes, yeah, but it's still racist. I'm like, you may not agree with the conclusion, all right? Like, you may not agree with the conclusion, but how he got there, how he got to that conclusion is not racism.
Right.
Does not mean he's racist. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's so hard because no one uses argumentation, no one follows any structure, no one has like a value system that, like, I'm like more of like a Kantian, Kant's moral theory where it's like intent and all this stuff. And like, so it's like I have a value system in and outside of my religious beliefs. So it's like I have a value system and it's a constant. It's not a changing variable. It's a constant to where I can take any situation and run it through that filter. You know what I'm saying? Where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, well, does it, da, 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 and it just like it's like a checklist,
Yeah.
And no one has that. No one seems to have that. It's just flying by their seat of their pants.
And I try to, in my mind, I'm like, okay, is this a result of Media Matters, which obviously that's their job. They take clips and put them out of context. Or is this Media Matters plus attention economy? People just don't want to take the time to really understand anything.
Yeah. And virtue signaling.
Yeah.
And victim stance, victimhood. There's the hierarchy of victimhood where they go down the hierarchy.
Yeah. I'm at the the very bottom on that one. So, yeah.
A lot of it comes from for me is that, like my son is a white kid. He's a white male.
Yeah.
So I have to look through that lens and go, no, this is a human being who isn't responsible for slavery. This is a human being who I made him. He's born. It wasn't his fault. He didn't mean to be born white. Like, it was my fault.
Right.
And so, like, I had this friend, Hispanic woman, and she was constantly bashing like the white man and whiteness and centering whiteness and, oh, white men, white men, white men. And I'm like, you do realize that I have a son who's going to be a white man.
Yeah.
I know that I have a father who's a white man, and I have a brother who's a white man. I have men that I have in my life who I love, who I respect, who are white men.
Right.
So what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? So I literally had to stop hanging out with her. I was like, if you can't keep your mouth shut when you're around, you can't keep that, save that for someone else who wants to hear it. I'm not going to sit there. I wouldn't expect her to let me bash Hispanic men around her.
Of course. Yeah. I don't think either one of you or I would have been excited if something happened to Joe Biden. We don't want, we just don't want these types of things to happen.
Dude, even when he was diagnosed, they said like they were something about like he might have brain cancer or something, or there was like just this talk about it. The only thing I saw people on the right talking about was the cover up. They were about like even his dementia, whatever. It was like the cover up was what they were talking about. Nobody was saying they're glad.
Of course not.
These people are psycho. I literally was like, wow, I didn't know how many sociopaths I knew.
Yeah, same here. In my heart of hearts, like I said, I was kind of like, okay, maybe this stuff is kind of subsiding a little bit, and we can kind of rebuild. But it literally got just blown up.
They were saying they should have killed his wife and kids too.
I saw
because
stuff like
those
that.
kids are
Just
just gonna end
ghoulish
up.
type stuff.
And yeah, like these are like, doesn't it seem? Well, I know it seems like it definitely seems like a psyop, like a government psyop, and it like the way that it's like that was something I noticed was, like for me, guys, excuse me, that was something I noticed was during the Tesla riots or the
Right.
Tesla protests, right?
Yeah.
The moment that I realized, okay, no, this is not happening organically. This is an intentional. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I was like, this is not happening on accident. This is not just like a natural progression. Because when you see a 40 or like a 52-year-old high school teacher with no criminal record out there keying cars
Exactly.
out of
Yeah.
the blue, I'm like, that's not normal. Like, if you're seeing where it's like people are throwing Molotov cocktails in buildings, it's just not. No, I'm literally watching like a 60-year-old man who works at the post office, or you know what I'm saying? It's like these are like not. This is
Yeah. These aren't people that would normally do these types of things or ever even know or care to. And you're just like, is it really, like, is that hypnosis through the TV screen? Like, forcing them to do this? I don't know.
anybody who like understandably, like myself, I used to be a Democrat and stuff, but like understandably, there were people still kind of fighting for like the liberal side of things, and the right is a bad guy and all that. I mean, I grew up with lesbian parents in the 80s and 90s, so I
Right.
dealt with evangelical right.
Right.
I hated them. Like, like I had every reason to hate these people. But it's changed. Things change over time. But yeah, like, I mean, what was I going to say? My brain. Where I understand there are people still holding on to these ideals of the Democrat Party. But at this point, anyone still holding on to that, I have to question.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason RFK walked away. There's a reason Tulsi Gabbard walked away. There's a reason, like, it's like at this point, and I'm not saying go be a Republican, but at this point, if you're still wearing that scarlet letter of,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Democrat Party, like you haven't like distanced yourself, whatever, like,
Yeah. Well, it's an H for history, right? It's always,
yeah, like if
yeah.
you haven't come to the understanding that they now represent the opposite of everything they claim to stand for, just as recently as the 90s, early 2000s, so I have to question your something. What's
Your
going on?
ability to reason.
Your ability to reason,
Yeah.
your moral compass, your whatever. Like it was like I understand. A lot of them don't know certain things are really happening,
Yeah.
like the mutilation of children, like certain that like a lot of them genuinely aren't aware of certain things. But at this point, you're not aware that they just celebrated a murder. You're not aware that they were throwing Molotov cocktails into places with workers and so, like you're not aware of these things at a certain point.
Yeah, we have a cop at my church every time we go. I'm just like, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's just how it has to be.
And they're telling these like the ICE agents, whatever, like take her mask off, like, oh, so their whole family could be murdered. And people are throwing in like, oh, like if you're upset about Charlie Kirk, well, how come you weren't upset about it when that Democrat, lawmaker, whatever she was killed? It's like, yeah, they were killed by a liberal. It was a leftist who did. Like, you're not helping your
And
case
I,
right
I didn't
now.
see any nighttime vigils for that. So the whataboutism that always happens drives me insane.
Yeah, like forget about my rage. Where was
Right.
your compassion then? You
Right.
didn't seem to have shape with that either.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just that
While you were, suing the president, this
yeah,
horrible thing happened to this woman. Did you expect him to like? I mean, he was literally getting shouted down in court.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I think he had other things on his mind. You know?
It's just banana sandwiches. Like everybody's over the Kimmel thing that censorship. And now Google has come out, and ABC and Google, or not ABC, Alphabet and Google. I guess Alphabet owns Google or vice versa. I don't know. Alphabet's coming out, Google's coming out, and they're all going on record saying the Biden administration majorly censored and was
Yeah.
pressuring them. Like the guy from YouTube, came out. I forget, what's his name?
Bono. Or
No, the guy that owns YouTube.
oh God.
Yeah, it was
I
like
don't
a
know.
circle of Z or
Yeah.
something. Anyway, he was the first to come out. Good for him.
Good.
As like all these like big tech is coming out saying like, no, Biden administration forced us to censor. Like it was full blown, not only censorship but election interference
Wow.
censorship. Like, no, you gotta, like, he made them throttle the Hunter Biden laptop story during the election because they thought it would negative. It's like, so, but not only that, it's like y'all were just celebrating someone being killed for his free speech,
Yeah. I mean,
and now you're talking about this guy losing his job for a few days. Like you're talking about this guy losing his job, who also celebrated other people being censored and losing their jobs.
yeah. And
Well, this
who's
is
been out of touch with reality for God knows how long. And I
he.
mean,
There's people where I'm just like, who is really getting your check? Like, who is actually cutting your check? Like at this point or whatever. Like, and I saw where there's like a video of him sitting across from, oh God, Sarah Silverman on his podcast or whatever it is. And he's sitting there and they're talking about, oh, this and that and how, like, and they're talking about things that do with racism and stuff. And I was picturing them in their blackface because he's done blackface and she's done blackface.
I didn't know he'd done it too. Of
Yeah,
course.
there
Yeah.
was like it was horrible too. Like it wasn't even like whatever. Like it wasn't even just the color that he had put on his skin. He was talking very insult. He was like blah, 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 blah. Like it was very bad.
Yeah.
And I'm picturing these two people in their blackface
Yeah. Lecturing.
talking about this stuff. I'm like, why are we literally listening to these? It feels very Twilight Zone. It all feels very, and it's hard as a parent through all this
Yeah.
with a child with autism. It's like I want him to socialize and meet kids and stuff, but it's like I don't trust these schools. Like even in Texas, I don't trust like schools. I don't trust. Why
Sorry. Yeah.
are there so many left wing educators? Why does that draw them?
I mean that it's and it's another one of those things like you can't believe it. Like, oh, that really is part of their plan. Like we need to like sneak in and indoctrinate them with their kids because it's very hard to change their minds later. I mean, it's
Yeah.
even when I say that, I'm just like there's that can't be fully what's going on. But I mean, you read books, and I've known educators. I've looked at the stuff they've had to study, and I'm just like, yeah, this is Looney Tunes, but you're still like that's
That's
part
why
of the
you have to
curriculum.
look at policies. You
Yeah,
have to look at policies. Like it's one thing, whatever, like, oh, there's these, it's like you can't just look at, not that they mean nothing, because I do think there is value in, you know, personal stories and experiences. Like but you can't just go on that. You have to look at policies.
right.
And in California, they passed a policy that, like, literally teachers do not have to tell the parents if a child's transitioning socially in their class or anything. Their teacher doesn't have to tell the parents,
That's
and
crazy.
that's a policy. Like you can't say, oh, that's anecdotal. That's a policy. When you check with certain schools, they have policies in their school where it's, like it's whatever, respect their pronouns. You have to, and that's why when Trump passed that thing, which everybody called transphobic, where he was saying you can't fire someone because they refuse to use somebody's preferred pronouns, and they go, oh, that's just not. No, it's unconstitutional.
Right.
Compelled speech. You're compelling speech. You're saying, like, and he doesn't mean everywhere. I think it's only for federal jobs and uh, government funded things, and like
Right.
like in your private business, you can do whatever you want. But like if you're at a government funded school, you cannot fire that teacher because they refuse to call you she, her.
Right.
Because making them do it when they essentially work in a government funded or federal thing, you're now compelling speech. You're forcing speech, which is against their free speech rights, so.
Yeah, I never thought that would be like reality. Like I always thought free speech was like the default. You take it for granted. You know?
What world would any of this been seen as reality like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
20 years ago. Give it 20 years. And that's how I know it's not happening organically or naturally. Because, like, I remember, God, I was in my 20s. I'm not going to say how long ago it was, but I was in my 20s. And I remember there being a story about there was a girl who was like, she was like like really, really, really disabled. Like, her parents had to like lift her and take care of her and things like that. But her body was developing very like a woman like body was developing, and what they wanted to do was give her like puberty blockers and things like that to keep her body like small and like childlike. She has the mind of a child and she's physically needs to be cared for, and so they're talking about giving her these puberty blockers just to like stifle for medical reasons. And in the article I read, it was a huge thing. People were furious. They're, oh, you can't do that. That's not right. And they saw it as like inhumane and all these things. And people on the right and the left just thought that it was very, very just like very like this big scandal. And I remember reading that and thinking, even I had sort of mixed feelings because I was like, well, is it really fair? Like, she can't consent to it. You're kind of forcing it on her. But then I thought, and one of their arguments the parents said was that they didn't want someone seeing her as a sex object, kind of like the way she was developing. They were like, she has a mind of a child. She's not able to consent to anything, like that or whatever. Like, we just need to. And I just remember thinking, like, for practical reasons. And so even I was on the fence, like, thinking about it. And it's like people were up in arms about it. And I don't know, it was a national story, but where it was, whatever, relevant, people were very upset. And the parents were getting hate letters and all kinds of death threats. And it's like, I remember distinctly thinking, oh, well, that's an interesting thing to think about. That's really a quandary to really think about, morally. It's like, I don't want to say how long ago it was. Well, not long ago. And now they're like, yeah, how many kids are they cutting the breasts off of? Come on, like, whatever. Oh, it's just they're only giving them puberty blockers. It's no big deal. Like, nationally, like, it's like, how did we go from this one story being like, oh my God?
Yeah, truly fringe to
And
like
that was for
fast
medical
forward.
reasons. There was an argument for that, for her needing that versus like, where it's like, can you imagine back then if it would have been, oh, they gave a double mastectomy to a 13-year-old who thinks she wants to be a boy? That would have been front page news.
Yeah, absolutely.
One child. That would have been it would have been like,
Yeah,
what's her name? The lady.
be on Oprah. I mean, everything.
Like, oh yeah. Do you remember that lady who was on life support? I can't remember her name. There's that one woman, and they said that they were starving her to death, and she was on life support or whatever. She was.
I never heard of that. That's
If I said her name, you'd remember.
okay.
It would jog your memory, but I just can't think of her name. It was like I want to say Salvo, or not Salvo, but it was like, oh, it's driving me crazy. But anyway, that was like a whole national story. I mean, things like that are where there's any kind of a medical moral question to it.
Sure. I mean, Kevorkian was a huge thing.
Yeah, that's
And
another example.
that just feels very memory hold, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, that's a very good way to describe it. Yeah. God, what is her name? It's driving me crazy right now. Anyway, but like you said, like that kind of stuff. It's like it was a huge thing. I mean, they treated him like he was a serial killer.
Wow.
If you go to there's the Haunted Museum in Vegas, they have a whole room dedicated to that guy.
Wow.
So, and other killers, So I'm just saying it's very. That's how I know it's just psyop. It's
Yeah.
like a whole psyop because that's not normal.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, once you start really kind of looking into it, researching, it's like, okay, this is very top down. Like this doesn't happen by accident. So
Yeah, and then that one guy, remember that guy that Joe Rogan talked about? He was like this. Isn't that so funny? They painted Joe Rogan as like super right wing.
yeah.
He was ready to vote for Bernie Sanders. Like,
I
what are
mean,
you talking?
Neil Young, took his music off Spotify. That was a protest.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, Neil Young, you
yeah,
don't even know how to listen to a podcast. What are you doing? Like,
yeah. That was so funny. But it was what was it? I don't even remember what I was gonna say.
well, he had like the he because he dared to ask questions about COVID and would have different kind of scientists that had different opinions and medical scientific reasons for them. So yeah, we should hear from scientists and hear some different things on something that's totally unprecedented.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we hear other ideas for what might work?
A novel virus that they literally call a novel virus. That
Right.
was another red pill moment for me was when the news was saying like when where it was like started in China, as far as we knew, and Trump was saying, "Hey, we got to close off any travel from China for a while till we sort this out."
Yeah.
And they called him racist. They
Yeah.
called him, and so I guess he backed down from it. He was just like, "All right, that's what I want to do. You guys want to do this? No." And then a couple months go by, like people start dying, and the same, and it wasn't even different anchors. It was literally the same show, same anchors. A couple months later, that was so irresponsible. He should have closed off the border to China.
Right. Yeah. But you can put those clips side by side, and you'll still get people being like, "Well, they had different information." So it's really
And
crazy.
well, that was the whole point of closing off the border was to get different information and figure out. And then the other one, oh my god, I think the part where I was like, because I hated Trump. I was very Trump deranged in the beginning. And the part that made me question that, my brother kept trying to get me to. He's like, Molly, listen, it's not what they're saying it is. He may be an asshole. He ain't that kind of asshole. You need to. And I was like, well, no, he's racist. He's just not. And then I realized it is a psyop with him too, because he kept saying fake news, fake news. I'm like, yeah, of course he says that, But then it was the Charlottesville hoax.
Yeah.
Remember the Charlottesville hoax?
Yep.
Where he
Yep.
goes, he goes,
Yep.
he
Virginia.
goes. There are fine people on both sides, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists and the neo Nazis. They should be condemned totally. As soon as it was over,
Yeah.
it's like literally where they do the thing, and then right after they do a recap on the news of like, oh, here's what they talked about. Right after they showed just the part where he said fine people on both sides,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
was like,
Yeah,
it
you
is.
saw it in real time. Like,
I was like, it is fake news. He called Nazis fine people. Like I was like, da 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 da. Like it literally was like, okay, they're. I thought it was all just ridiculous to call it fake news. Like, how would they be able to get away with that?
right.
I still don't know how they're getting away with it. But then even Biden, even Kamala Harris, like Obama, like people are still saying he called Nazis fine people 8 years later.
Oh, I mean, they can't let up on that. You know. It's
Even
crazy.
Snopes has said it's fake.
Yeah.
People are still like believe it.
Yeah.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, we have a 1-year-old daughter, um, and yeah, I mean we're obviously pretty worried about these
Are you
things.
planning for the post-apocalypse? Like, are you prepping and having like?
Um, I should
I'm
be
not
planning
quite
more.
there yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Once I can afford it, I'm gonna have some go bags and
Yeah.
MLBs and all kind of stuff.
I've got the Army Survival Guide on my iPhone, so I guess that's a step.
Yeah, I'm like where I'm just looking at like it's like my dad always like my dad looks super racist, so he's not. I like because I asked him once when I was young. I was like, "How would you feel like if I dated?" because I've dated people all different races, but
Yeah.
I never really asked how he felt about it. Like I was like, and he never told me, don't ever date a black guy. He never said that. And I remember asking him, like, hey, like, what do you think of that? Like, I never really asked, like, what do you think about? And he said, all I care is that a man makes you happy and that he could protect you in a zombie apocalypse. And so,
Yeah.
like, he goes, can he hunt? Can he shoot a gun? Can
Yeah.
he, you know?
Yeah.
Well, if he's black, then obviously he can. No, I'm just kidding. He just does it to the side. No, I'm kidding.
Takes down the deer. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Make yourself dear. No, but yeah, like all he cares about is are they capable
Yeah.
of
Absolutely.
survival, you know? And I'm realizing now more than ever, man. What do you think? Civil War?
God, I hope not.
How
Part of
would
me
it
is a
work though? Like how would that work? Because like when we had a Civil War, everything was like north, south, like there was perimeter. We're all just mixed together.
part of me is like, all right, most people are too lazy to actually do anything. That's the optimistic part of my brain.
They just
Uh,
stay online.
yeah, they'll just keep fighting online. That's the actual Civil War. But the
Mhm.
other part is that it would just turn into like little like provinces or whatever. You
Like
know,
skirmishes and
yeah,
stuff.
and just like our states would be again just like you know Virginia and Texas are well, Texas can actually secede. My wife told me that. So you,
I am fine with
yeah,
that.
you guys would probably be the first ones to be like, you know what, fuck this, we're gone. Like,
So fine with that.
uh,
And they, do you know how many people when like I'm on Facebook? Because I'll argue with people, and I know people like make fun of that. They're like, why do you waste your time? Only losers argue on Facebook. Like, why? I said because you have to engage in the free market of ideas.
you do, yeah,
You have to engage because what it is that if there's only it, and this is what ended up happening. Silent majority
yep,
stayed silent.
right.
And the problem with that is that's how that leads to cancel culture.
And I'm guilty of that. I was on the sidelines thinking
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
was too
you know,
at first. Oh, yeah, man. Like, I was totally guilty of that at first. I was like, oh, I don't know. And then it got to a point where I was scared to say something because I have a child and they could come after me.
right,
Genuinely, I was scared of my safety. And
terrifying,
that's why I did wait until I got somewhere where I could walk around, carry my gun, no problem. And, it's, but it's like you have to engage because if you don't, the only voice they're going to hear is that, like,
the predominant narrative that they
yeah.
have out there. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. And who was it? Jordan Peterson talks about, oh, no, no, no. Well, he talks about stuff like this too, but it's, what was it? Was it Dr. Phil wrote a book called Tyranny of the Fringe?
I didn't know he wrote. Uh,
I haven't read it, but just the name of it was like, oh man, that's like
yeah,
like he would really let the fringe like really take over, and it's because it gives the illusion that this small fringe is the majority,
yeah,
because that's all you're hearing.
right,
That's where cancel culture came from, where it's like I've always been of the belief that cancel culture only has the power we give it.
yes, yeah,
The moment you don't believe it anymore, be gone, witch. It doesn't exist anymore.
yeah, exactly. I had that same realization too. I was like, you know what, this is not. I'm not going to live like this. This is not how this is supposed to be. And the fear of this is way more powerful than the actual thing.
Yeah.
You know,
And but now don't get me wrong, and I don't want to minimize what has happened to people
of course
because
not.
there are people who have had their lives burned to the ground. People who have literally had to get up and move to a different house because they're getting death threats where people are coming to their house. Like I don't want to minimize what an atrocity, what a stain on humanity that was, because it really was scary and it really did scare people, and it's just so sad, and I feel like it wouldn't have gotten that far had rational people not had the attitude before that, leading up to that, that was like, okay, I got to get in here, I got to get in here and say something. Like I feel like there's too much of that. I don't have time for that. First of all, they have jobs. A lot of them.
Yep.
Like I'm really privileged. Well, I don't know, privileged. I'm very disabled, but I'm privileged in the sense that the VA takes good care of me, and I have enough income to support myself and my son. And it's like I do have more. You have too much time on your hands. I have just enough time on my hands to tell you what an idiot you are. Like I'm totally fine with it, having time on my hands because I'm using it to say something. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that. And people make fun of me, and I'll go back and forth with people. Like, I'll go, you want to talk about transitioning kids? I'm going to link the hell out of this. You want to talk about, and I'm okay with that. Like, I am okay with that, like, kind of stereotype of saying stuff, Because we should have.
Yeah. And I mean,
I should have. A long time ago, I should have, and I didn't.
yeah. Now, same here. And I think your approach to it is very effective. And
Do
it's
you think so? I just feel like I'm screaming into the void. I don't think it's effective, but thank you.
no, it works. And the more people are, stand up against that and do it in a respectful way, I
Yeah.
think we are going to see this subside, hopefully, before
I
really
think
the worst.
like I saw like there was, well, first I want to say I have had a lot of people private message me that are
Yeah,
afraid to say something.
right,
And I've had people say to me, like, if I'm going at it, like, they'll pile on. And I think it's because I am from California, where there's a lot of California people on my friends list. And so I do get outnumbered. And I'll just fight like 10 people at a time. Like, okay, I'll link it. Okay, I don't care. Because when your idea is right, when your idea is good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter 10, 20, 100. Your idea is good. And so there was whatever. So I would have people private messaging me, and I would have people in these groups saying, just look obvious. If you were right, why does everybody disagree with you? I said, okay, first of all, that's the bandwagoning logical fallacy. Let's talk about that, first of all. But it's like, because something's right or wrong, and it doesn't matter how many people believe it. There was a time in Germany when it was the right thing to do to be a Nazi, where it was everybody. It's like it became, whether or not they had to fake it out of fear, it became the accepted populace
right.
was. So if you're going to do cultural relativism like that, well, then now you're justifying the Holocaust in a way. Like that's literally the logic behind that. Where I was just like, so. But the point is, I got to a point where I'm like, no, it's not that more of you are disagreeing with me. It's that the people who agree with me are private messaging me
Right.
because that's how crazy y'all are.
Yeah.
That's how crazy y'all are. They're private messaging me. And a few of them are starting to say things, which is awesome. I'm not going to call credit for that, but either way, like
No, I think, like what you're doing is showing people that you can speak up, um, whatever small way that needs to be, but you don't have to go along with that because I'm sure on some level they actually, even the people that are so bought in, know on some level that some of this stuff is just irredeemable.
that's where all the cognitive dissonance comes from.
Yeah.
They
But
get so
hey, Molly, this has been so awesome.
I'm talking your ear off.
uh, uh, you know, really fantastic conversation. I love your work.
Thank
You know,
you.
where can people find you?
Just right now, just on my podcast. It's on YouTube. I'm trying to put it on Spotify, but I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to, but I have like a TikTok for it and YouTube and just Smells Deep podcasts on both of those.
Yeah,
There's no extra little doodads or
we will make sure
Instagram, Facebook,
people
all that.
subscribe, share it, enjoy it.
I hope so, but I have like 80 subscribers right now. I'm literally screaming into the void at this point, but hopefully it'll catch on.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, and
Thank you for having me.
yeah, it's been a blast. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Have a good day.
You too.